Hi, welcome to Spectral Evidence. Tonight we have Ian Murphy from the Paranormal Research Association of Boston here with us tonight. Glad you could be here.
Glad I could be here, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yep. Now, you have an interesting background in this because you started over in Ireland.
I did. Back in 2004, we started the Paranormal Research Association of Ireland. We found that there was a niche in the paranormal groups. A lot of groups were using mediums, spiritualists, and all that sort of stuff. So there's very few pure science groups out there. So I decided to try to start one of those up. And the PRAI has grown and grown from 3 members at the start, including myself, to now up to 10 members. And over the years, we've had, I think, 1,200 applicants to be part of the team. Wow. And we've selected 10. So it kind of tells you the rigorous testing we've gone through. We've gone through different testing phases as well. Back in 2006, we came up with the idea of a full testing system where people would go on an investigation, have a written psychological test, and then a final interview with the team so they could get on with us. And then obviously they go through trainee status, where they have 6 to 12 months probation before they're brought into the core team. So all the members that are core team in PRAI are pretty much the best of the best. And all the ones that didn't, well, they didn't make it, unfortunately. The team has been very successful over there. It's one of the most well-known teams in Ireland, and we've helped a lot of people. And that's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, it's about helping people.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're 100% science-based.
Yes.
No mediums, no crystals,
no,
nothing.
Nothing like that. The reason that we've gone for the science base is science is verifiable, science is provable. Whereas people that are hearing voices, talking to ghosts, I'm not saying that they're not doing it. They are a completely different area that the PRAB could study in time. But it's not verifiable. It's just a feeling someone has, or a feeling that someone is talking to them. And you can't prove that. And if we can't prove it, then we really can't help.
So what got you involved with it? What made you want to form a group?
Well, I think the main thing that happened, it would have happened when I was about 19, so it's a long time ago, unfortunately. One of my friends believed that she had a ghost in her house. Now, obviously, I thought she was just crazy. I'd go over, humour her for a little bit, and then tell her, you have no ghost, just go to sleep. So about midnight, there was just 2 of us in the house, no pets, no anything, just a normal family house in Ireland. And I heard this strange scratching in the bedroom. I didn't think anything of it, turned on the lights, looked around, nothing had moved, so I thought, maybe I'm just hearing things. So I go back down to go sleep, and I hear the scratching again. Now it goes on for about a minute and just stops. So at this point, I turn on the light and I look around. I notice a metal trash can has moved from one side of the room to the other. And that's what's piqued my interest in paranormal investigation. I would have loved to have my equipment and the knowledge I've brought up over the years then, but still unexplained. But it did stop since then.
Okay, tell us some...
Well, our first investigation was in Charleville Forest Castle, which is well known as being the 2nd most haunted castle in Europe. It's situated in Offaly, in the town of Tullamore, which is where Tullamore Dew comes from. I'm sure most people are familiar with that. It's a 16th century Gothic revival castle, very nice, and it's quite dilapidated at this time. We started investigating there probably back in 2004, 2005. And it's now become our base of operations and still remains the base for the PRAI, where we do, as I told you, about the investigations with public members, and we bring them onto the team that way. It's very, very interesting, great history, great atmosphere there as well. I love the staff and the people that own there. But we've had a couple of different experiences down there. I think the biggest experience I've had would have been at about 2 a.m. in the basement, which used to be used as a dungeon, and this would have been back in 2007. We were all sitting around the table, and there was a medium there that the castle was friends with, so she really wanted to be on the investigation, so we brought her along. And I had this really, really strange feeling on my chest. Couldn't breathe, couldn't catch my breath. I started to dry retch, and then my face felt like it was, if you leave soap on for too long, it starts to get that really sticky feeling, horrible feeling. And the medium told me that my face was changing. Now, I don't know if she picked up in the low light that I was having these symptoms and she just decided to capitalize on it and say something. But it was all very coincidental. Looking back on it, it was more likely just you know, a reaction to being in a dungeon at night and thinking that something would happen. But it was a very interesting personal experience. Just a horrible feeling all around. We've also had experiences where we've seen and heard things. Usually, of course, when the equipment's turned off, that's when we always see and hear things. And we can never grab the evidence for that. And we also had, as part of our testing, we used to put people in what we called the isolation room, which was just on the 3rd level off the nursery. And we tell them a story about things that would happen. This was part of the psychological testing to see if they were easily influenced by hearing stories about things. And we were told, oh, you'll see lights flashing on and off, you'll hear voices, that sort of stuff. Well, one of our first people we put in there ran out screaming because he'd been pushed against a wall. And that was a member of our team. So he'd been on the team for a year and a half, so he was relatively freaked out by it. But he was very believable. But we did still continue to put people in there as part of the psychological test.
So is that a common occurrence that people reported at that castle, being pushed against a wall, or?
Not in that area. Nothing had been recorded in that area. That's why we chose it. We just wanted to see if people would, you know, start saying, oh, I'm seeing lights, I'm hearing voices, because we've told them that's what happens.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good little test.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We've gone all over Ireland to the length and breadth. The PRAI is actually now split up into 4 different locations just to cover more geographical area.
But so coming over to America, is it kind of boring over here doing it? Because we don't have castles really, and we don't have any that ancient history.
The classic
you know,
areas where paranormal will happen. No, not really, because I've found that paranormal can happen anywhere. It can happen in a house, it can happen in a TV studio maybe, or it can happen in a castle. It's all down to what people are feeling. And it's also down to the construction of the areas, what's being used in the construction, and also the power in the areas, the electrical power. I'm not talking like, you know, spirit power or anything like that, I'm talking physical electrical power, because obviously electromagnetic fields, radon, different gases, loads of different things can contribute to paranormal experiences, which are just natural-based occurrences. And that's why the PRAB goes for science. So we can try to detect these changes in the atmosphere and give people a peace of mind that this is what's happening, this is why. I think in about 98% of our cases, we've yet to find a reason behind something, but 98% we have.
So when you go into a new investigation, I know you have like a Geiger counter. How much testing do you do just to get your baseline for the area?
The baseline, every room is checked for temperature, electromagnetic fields, spikes in the EMF field, CO monitoring, radiation monitoring, temperature, relative humidity, sound, and a lot of pictures are taken as well, just so we know if something's being moved, we can watch it. And then when we're going on to the investigation itself, obviously we wire up the cameras. We have 8 cameras set up that goes through to our digital sharing system, and 4 are wireless and 4 are wired. And they're all zero lux night vision cameras. So we well cover our areas when we go there.
You have 10 members of the team. Do all 10 members take part in each investigation, or do you pick and choose certain members? Do they have any, you know, like special...
Like special skills? Yes and no. Generally, to a residential investigation, obviously all 10 members aren't going to go. Houses are only so big, and contamination is such a problem when you're trying to look through evidence. People are picked based on their length in the team and their usefulness to that case. For instance, the team has 4 core members, or 5 core members now. New member has just come on board. And they're members that have gone through the training system that we go through and gone through probation and being elevated to core team. Then we have 5 trainees who are going through their probationary period and will be brought in investigations. And it's all really down to manpower, how much we need for a specific investigation. If I need people for Normal House, I'll generally need between 5 and 6 people. I'll need 1 person to be in the command center at all times. We obviously rotate it around. And then 2-person teams out. Unless it's a bigger location, then 3-person teams and so on and so forth. People are selected based on their availability and based on the number of investigations they've done. For instance, if I've got a trainee member that's gone on 6 investigations and one that's gone on 1, I'm going to bring the one that's gone on 1 so they can get more experience with the equipment and with investigation. Obviously, you want experience on your bigger investigations, but you don't get experience by not doing anything. So I try to make it fair for every member of my team, bring them along for as much as I can. On public investigations, which we do as well, we try to get the entire team there. For the presentations we give, we get as much of the team there as we can as well, so they're able to give different opinions on the team itself.
Very good. Now, all your investigations are free, confidential.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not out to make yourself famous.
Oh, no, no.
You're in for the real deal.
When somebody calls you, how do you screen them? You know, do you go ahead and pre-investigate the person or the location? You know, what's your screening process before doing an investigation?
Oh. Well, we have a client manager. Back in the day, I had to take all calls myself, but now we have a dedicated line set up and it goes to our client manager, Brad. So he'll interview the client over the phone to see if there's anything obvious that's, you know, a red flag out there. You know, maybe it's an obvious mental illness or something like that they should be seeing the doctor for instead of the paranormal team. We'll try to do that. If we have planned to go ahead with the investigation, we'll do as much information gathering on the location that we can. Obviously, you know, Google has so much information out there. You can get information on nearly anybody. If you go through the realtor sites, you'll get a lot of information on the floor plans of the house, when it was made, what it's made of, all these things that contribute to the investigation. Investigation on the people themselves, no, we don't do like a background check or anything like on them. But from the interview with them, we can tell, you know, if they're genuine or if they're not. I'm sure you know yourself, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to get the crank calls. Generally, we don't respond to those. And we have a number of different ways people can contact us as well, by phone, by fax, by email, or by our new e-file system, which not many groups are using, but more and more are starting to use. It's just a form that they can fill out online, and it gets sent out to the team, and it gets all the information you need right there. And from there, we put it into our central database, which is PCMS. I don't know if you've heard of. It was made by the PRAI, and it's available to all members, all paranormal teams, for free throughout the world. It's a fantastic centralized organizational system.
Now, how many full investigations do you do, let's say, for a year?
Varies from time to time. Obviously, October is going to be our biggest time. Like, the hits on our website will show that. It goes up to 10,000 in October and back down to like 7,000 in January. But over the year, I'd say generally between 20 and 30 residential investigations, and then public investigations is on the up now. We've only done 4 of them so far, but we're going to be doing more and more. It's all part of the kind of community outreach program of teaching people how to